fifth dimension. Aquarius I am. We in the Aquarius age for the next 2,000 years, you dig?
Swing low, time to move on. Light years in time, ahead of our time.
I want to free your mind by helping you understand the zodiac signs. That's right, you're live with Aquaman in the zodiac zone where the cosmos is your home. I'm your very own Ampu, the real urban guru, coming through on the mothership. So let's open up your cosmic memory bank and swing down to earth where the shit stank. Hey, what up everybody? Welcome back to Hip Hop Astrology TV. I'm your host Ampu, the real urban guru. And of course, man, we got to give our condolences. Moment of silence, RIP to Nipsey Hussle. You know, I want to get this quick disclaimer before I get started real fast. And that disclaimer is this playlist, Celebrity News and Deaths, is an educational format. All right, so I'm talking the astro science. If you're new to this channel, then I ask you to be patient and understand that this ain't gossip, this ain't none of that. This is all about understanding cosmic alignments in what's called the astrological or the zodiacal science as it pertains to cause and effect, but most importantly, how you can foresee, and if you can foresee, then possibly you can prevent things before they actually occur. All right. Shout out to Karen Civil. If you don't know Karen, she's pretty much Nipsey Hussle's manager. She asked on her Twitter that people remove the conspiracy away from Nipsey Hussle's name, because now you're going to have all this. The government did it because he was filming a Dr. Sebi thing. And Nipsey Hussle even alluded to the fact that, hey, if somebody killed me, man, be the government, because I'm trying to do this Nipsey, I'm trying to do this Dr. Sebi thing. You know what I'm saying? And, people going to run wild and they're going to have these elaborate conspiracies with absolutely no proof, and it's foolish. And it is very dangerous. And see, I'm going to tell you something about this thing. And I really want y'all to hear me very closely. If you truly understood how the brain works and how powerful it is, then you would never ever cast a negative imagery, a thought form out there, because you are the same people. My brother Minister Jew hit it on the head. You want to talk about write it to existence, brother, speak it into existence, and you think that only works for the good stuff. You better understand that stuff works for the bad stuff too. In fact, it's easier to manifest a negative, stressful situation because of the gravitational pull of fear and your negative emotions associated with certain things. It's easier to manifest those things, okay? And so if you can speak it into existence, then you better understand something. If you one of those people that was coming from that school of thought when you follow Nipsey and you saying, oh, you got to protect Nipsey Hussle, we got to protect him and we got to watch out for him because the government going to try to get him, then you spoke that shit into existence. And I just got to say it for what it is, because you don't understand how powerful the mind works, and you don't understand that when you have viewers, and I'm talking bloggers who say that kind of stuff, and you have innocent people that's listening to these things, you are putting a suggestion out there. And then that suggestion, it's like auto-suggestion, could be planted into the subconscious mind. And then next thing you know, somebody takes form and that physical event is created because you got all this negative emotion or a negative evil eye around Nipsey Hussle because you come from the conspiracy school of thought. YouTube has done a great service of starting to get rid of the conspiracy type of conversation. All that Alex Jones prison planet and the whole population is going to be enslaved is a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you. That narrative has to go, okay? So all this conspiracy and all that is whack. And Beyonce said it best. You niggas corny with that Illuminati mess. It's corny. It's whack. All right? And I'm going to show you how this science actually supersedes that of a conspiracy. Okay? And so again, shout out to Karen for putting that out there, man. Let's look at Nipsey Hussle's last tweet, where he said, having strong enemies is a blessing. And he tweeted that at 2:52. And less than 40 minutes later, he's pretty much shot. Okay? Having strong enemies is a blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't like that. That's that dialogue that you hear in the 48 Laws of Power when they say stupid shit like this. If you don't have enemies, create enemies. That's retarded. Okay? It's absolutely retarded. So when you see something like this, having strong enemies is a blessing. Sure, we can get the irony out of it that, you know, to have strong opposition means that you're doing something grand. But you have to understand, or even just look at, why was that his last tweet, and where did that inspiration, what was he thinking, and what was he observing? Where did that thought come from? Because thoughts pop up in your head all the time. 1 minute you're thinking about this, and the next second, all of a sudden, something pops up. The question you need to ask yourself, that thing that just popped up, where did it come from? Do you think it came from within, which it can, or did it come from a signal, a sender, and you picked up on something, and then you relayed what you thought? Because thought always pops up like that bright idea or the light bulb that comes on, right? So you better really ponder that, or where it came from, okay? You have to be careful on what you put out here, because you start to create a spell against yourself. So if you think that somebody's going to get you because you're doing a documentary, and let's be clear on this Sabi thing, man. Listen, if it was a conspiracy to kill Dr. Sabi, and let's say the man did, then that means when he went to the state Supreme Court in New York, that means that judge didn't get the memo. And this is Sabi in his prime. So why let him win the case? If the record says that he won the case, why let him win the case? Why not knock him off in his prime before all of the next generation start getting this information? You know how many different people got stores and herbs, and how many basically children Dr. Sabi have now? I ain't talking about blood. I'm talking about spiritual children who understand that work. And now everybody got herbs, and everybody's talking about living healthier. All the information on Sabi is out now. It just don't make no sense to wait for him to be an old ass man to get him and knock him off. Y'all gotta knock this shit off, man. I'm serious about this. I gotta cut it out. All right? It makes absolutely no sense. And for sure, the judge didn't get the memo to say, you know what, we're going to allow him to win this particular case. Come on, man, get out of here. It's whack, man. It's super whack, and I'm going to keep saying that Beyonce nailed you niggas. You niggas corny with that Illuminati mess, all right? And so let's look at something. When people get shot and people get murdered, I keep showing y'all on this channel, especially the playlist Celebrity News and Death, go look at the planet Mars. You're going to see keywords: iron and steel, that's a gun; bloodshed, violence, okay? War, cuts and burns, because bullets burn, okay? Mars, every single time, whether it be Mac Dre, whether it be Yellow Beezy getting shot at, like, excuse me, I keep showing y'all over and over again, when it's that violent thing jump off, Mars is going to be in a strenuous position known as a square, an opposition, or in the exact same place where another planet was at when you were born, okay? Now, let's look at this square chart, because this is very, very important. This is a very ancient tool that knows that, hey, Gemini to Virgo is a problem. So is Taurus to Leo is a problem. I want to explain this. Now, let's look at something called secondary progressions. A progress chart simply means how your soul has grown over time, how your chart has continued to evolve since you were born, and the planets and things move forward. Okay, that's all it is. So for look at it, for every year that you turn 1 year old on your birthday, the sun will move 1 degree. Every year the moon will move 13 degrees, and so forth and so forth. For other planets have different laws of motion. So the progress chart is a mirror of how your soul has progressed. Please note on this chart that Nipsey Hussle has Mars at 5 degrees Virgo. Notice there's an arrow pointing to Mars in the sky the day of his birth at 0 degrees Gemini. This is Mars square Mars. I showed you Mars represents violence and bloodshed. This is a very dangerous time. Virgo to Gemini is a square. That is a problem. You understand? Okay? Now, Nipsey Hussle's born 8/15. This is the 22nd day of Leo, August the 15th. Hence, he's a 22 degrees Leo. That's the 22nd day. That's all that really represents, okay? Now, this is very interesting because LA Times says Nipsey Hussle was shot at about 3:20 p.m. Cali time. Now, I want you to look at this chart at 3:20 p.m. Cali time. What is on the ascendant where it says AC? 23 degrees Leo. Wait a minute. Nipsey Hussle is what? 22 degrees Leo. So basically, and this is very important to understand, the AC marks the rising point, or what's known as the first house, the ascendant, the rising sign. It's like where the sun rises in the east. The direct point east on the sky it like creates everything. This is why the Muslims face east and pray. The earth is spinning towards the east. Okay? Very important to understand this. So that AC, known as the ascendant, gives way to what energy the earth is spinning into. From our viewpoint, it's going to look like what is about to rise on the eastern horizon, but technically it's the energy that the earth is spinning towards. Very important to understand. And so again, Nipsey Hussle, born on August the 15th, he's a 22 degree Leo. You think it's a coincidence that at the time he gets shot, the exact same area of space, 22, 23 degrees Leo, is rising on the ascendant at the location in California where he was at? Because understand this, what's on the eastern portion on the East Coast for me, I don't see what you see on the West Coast. It's totally different. So this thing is a mathematical science. His sun sign is rising at the time that his light gets put out. Very important to understand this. He was also has some other energies, such as if he's a 22 degree Leo, Mars was just in late Taurus. Yesterday, it went into Gemini. So technically, early Gemini can have a beef or an issue or a square to late Leo. Okay? You got to understand that. So Mars in the sky was actually squaring his sun. What is the sun? The sun is vitality, life force energy. Mars is violence. So now something is about to come at you sideways and try to take your life, because the sun is life. And it's going to happen through violence, which is Mars. The square shows you that it's friction that's coming. So now, this is why I say this science is superior to the conspiracy thing, because only thing we have to do is look at Nipsey. If we would have looked at Nipsey report and say, oh shit, Nick, you under a cold red, like we do with my clients. My clients, man, they get a report every single month. At the end of the month, they get the next month report, and I go through that and say, hey, you on a cold red right now. You can get in arguments, fight, bruises and stuff with your girl, your partner, whatever, and whatnot. You need to release any tension right now. You gotta know this, because this is the stuff that'll save your life. So we can measure this reality before it happens. So let me give you a few case points, and I'm gonna come off this thing. If you go back and you look at this channel and go back to the beginning, Jack, and you see the Rick Ross, we outlined that year Rick Ross had where I said, hey, Ross, you need to beef up your security because you can possibly get shot around this time. Especially this was that time that he was getting into it with, I think I'm Big Meech, I think I'm Larry Hoover, and the Gangster Disciples was pissed about that. Well, you got to remember, I wrote that like in December. That following January, when Rick Ross left his birthday party, a car pulled up on the side of him and started shooting, and he wrecked the car. So he got shot directly in the timeline that we said he was likely to get shot. This is documented before it actually happened. What about another time with Ross, when Minister Jew came and said, yo, you can be in a courtroom, have some court issues coming up, some run-in with the law. And then when that timeline got here, that's when he allegedly kidnapped the groundkeeper, I think it was, at one of his properties, and he caught a case behind that. Exactly on the timeline that we said. That's documented here on this channel and also on hiphopastrology.com, the blog, when we used to type the information out, okay? What about 50 Cent? Minister Jew told 50, oh, boy, you about to be in court. You're going to have a run-in with the law. And when that timeline got here, he was in court dealing with some bankruptcy issues and whatnot, and people suing him and whatnot, and cost him some money. Lost a few M's behind that. That's documented before it happened. What about last year? It's right here on the video on Celebrity News in Depths on the playlist, where I told Charlemagne the God himself that, well, you got Bill Cosby energy, and if you ain't careful, that's gonna come back to haunt you. And then a year later, damn near to the day that I made the video, that's when a girl from his past came out and trying to bring another case against him, like, nah, I should, Charlemagne raped me when he was younger and whatnot. And I told him in the video, you gotta be careful, you got this thing, you got some energy that's coming your way that's like Bill Cosby. It's documented that we said these things before it happened. So even if you do got a group of conspirators that want to do something, we know the timeline in which they're going to do it. So what becomes more knowledgeable at this point? And this is the thing, it ain't nobody that's doing it. You clowns don't understand how consciousness works. So I want to give you about 3 concepts you need to understand in science. And I'm out of here. You need to go look up the observer effect. You need to look up wave function collapse. And then you also need to get an understanding of the double slit experiment. In all of these, they're pretty much talking about, hey, when science tries to measure subatomic particles, the measurement of them thinking it's going to land here affects the outcome and make it land there. So the mere fact of observing and measuring it has an effect on it. It's called looking ass niggas. And this is why you don't like when people look at you a certain way, because you can feel it. You got to understand this. And this is why the Egyptians got the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Wajet as they call it as well. Hebrew and Islam got the Hamza, or the Eye of Fatima, which is the hand with the eye in it. Lil Wayne wear it, Madonna and them wear it. And it's said to do what? Repel the negative, evil stares from people. Looking creates phenomenon. It creates events, especially when you negatively look at something. Y'all got to understand this. So when y'all have this idea in your mind that, oh, watch out for Nipsey, and Nipsey himself has this idea in his mind, and all of a sudden he makes this tweet, having strong enemies is a blessing, right? And next thing you know, an hour or so later, not even an hour later, his energy is up. That event gets magnetized, along with y'all making that observation for that man. I just got to tell you straight up. We got the science to prove it. Go look at everything I said, and I know that it stands to be true. It can be tested at no limit of time, because what I'm talking is mathematics. This ain't philosophical shit. This is math. Okay? You don't understand how this thing works inside of your head. Because the moment that you truly understand, and I don't understand how y'all don't get it, because again, y'all all, put it on your vision board, speak it into existence. If that is true, then the same is true for the negative imagery that y'all talk about, the police brutality and all that type of stuff. And it's not that that stuff is not real, but you need to understand that when something has not happened, you should not be holding the premise that something is going to happen, because that makes you the mental conspirator against the person who you're making the observation against. Jackass. Hate that. And listen, and this is aimed at those who specifically want to stand on that square, because I will knock that thing down. And it's just that time to start addressing it, because it's bogus. And that kind of dialogue is really creating more phenomenon, and people come up into that information, and then they start observing it and creating that phenomenon unbeknownst to y'all, because y'all don't know how the brain works. You don't know how the cosmos work in conjunction with the brain, and y'all creating this crazy shit. Okay? And you don't have to go through that school of thought to wake up anymore. I've been there. Trust me, I done took that pill. That's the kindergarten. The Illuminati, the Rockefellers, and man, that's a lie. When you start looking into that situation, Rockefeller himself was getting investigated by Teddy Roosevelt in the United States government. I thought these people ran government. These people was getting their companies dismantled and destroyed, and Rockefeller was on the run. He was a fucking fugitive at one point, trying to duck subpoenas. J.P. Morgan and them, all them boys was getting hammered with damn near the monopoly laws and whatnot. I thought they was running the world. What they got to go to court for and do all this for? It's bogus. It's a lie. Prison planet. It ain't prison planet nothing. Nobody get locked up in masses. When you see injustice that happens and you start protest, like that's the perfect opportunity to come in and play the spook who sat by the door, and they can kill a cop and say that the black folks did it so they can to round everybody up. They don't do it. You know what they do, as we like to say over here? They say, go in the house before midnight, please. We're putting a curfew out. We want everybody to go in the house. Do that sound like prison planet to you? Something don't add up in this matrix. And people need to stop projecting their fears into the matrix. Because again, people who got this following that does this shit, all of these people observing the same thing with a negative emotion, and they looking at somebody hating in a sense because they got fear is the knowledge of the Lord. Your fear is creating it, man. Y'all gotta wake up. All right? So y'all got a question or a comment. Like I said, serious inquiries only. My number's always been right here. Get at us. Peace.
Prophecy is what we all have to go by now.